Welcome to Imprint, a podcast about creating a home and life you love. I'm Natalie Walton, an interior designer, stylist, and best-selling author focused on an holistic approach to homes. Each week, I'm sharing insights and interviews about the creative process to help you enhance both your interiors and well-being, as well as provide you with the tools and resources to make considered and sustainable choices with all that you create. Hello everyone, welcome to Imprint. I am very excited to go through today's episode, which is going to be jam-packed with really useful and helpful information to help you basically grow your interiors business. So it doesn't matter if you are starting out or you are in the messy middle and really looking to start making more money and make this actually work for you, then I trust that you're going to find today's episode really valuable. So I'm going to be taking you through the 7 steps to success with your interiors business or any kind of creative business that you might have. Now, I do have a workbook that goes alongside this episode, which you can get at nataliewalton.com/thrive. So if you're maybe at home, you could go and download that now. There's a link in the show notes as well. Or maybe you can just listen to this episode once and then go get that workbook and go through and implement these ideas because I think you're going to find it really valuable. So this episode is really for you if, like I said, you have got an interiors business and you just don't know where to focus first. You know, when there are so many different things to do, you feel like you're pulled in a million different directions and you're not sure of where to focus first. It's also for you if you really want to find more clients or customers and get them more regularly. You know, have that consistent flow of customers and clients coming through so it's not feast or famine. And maybe you are looking to generate enough revenue to basically make your business viable. Sometimes when it feels like it's hot and cold, it's like, you know, I just don't know if this is going to work. Or maybe you're thinking, I want to make enough money so that it kind of meets the salary that I had previously and that I can do it more with more freedom, more flexibility. Or, you know, I actually want to start earning decent money because otherwise I might as well go and work for somebody else. So these are some of the kind of questions or the challenges that you're facing right now. Now, let's get into it because, like I said, I've got 7 ideas that I want to share with you. And this is really the framework that I've used within my own business and what I'm teaching inside my group coaching program, Design and Grow. So it's really giving you a little bit of an insight into some of the big topics that we're talking about there and working through there, because I know for so many of you, and this is certainly true of so many people that have joined Design and Grow, is that you feel invisible. You know that you can help people. You know that you can create beautiful interiors. You know that you can really create beautiful work, but you don't know how to get, you know, potential customers or clients to know that you exist. Or maybe you just feel like you're winging it, like you don't have a plan, you don't have clear revenue goals, and the only system that maybe you have is kind of checking your emails. And in fact, maybe you feel that you're always in your inbox. And maybe you always feel that you're in reactive mode. You're reacting to clients and their demands. You're reacting to everything else related to your business. And you just feel like it's kind of getting out of control and that you don't have any agency in your own business. And often it feels like your business actually comes as an afterthought when really it needs to be, you know, front and center so that you can generate the revenue that it's going to make it worth all while and actually start to enjoy the benefits of having a business. So I want you to know that there are strategies that can help you become more visible, and we're going to be looking at those. And not only that, but actually having people contacting you, and we're going to sort of look at that in a little bit of detail. Also, this is something that I've said before, and it's so important. I know it resonates with so many of you, is that it really is time to go pro. If you're winging it, you need to go professional. You need to go pro. You need to treat your business as a business and, you know, how about even giving yourself a salary? Not just looking at the revenue and like, okay, what's left, but actually giving yourself a decent salary so that you can make it worthwhile. And I also want you to know that if you're always in that reactive mode, then it's important to become proactive and implement systems and boundaries to take back control of your business and your life. For me, I had like a real sort of turning point when I, for many years, was working freelance, and I had some other business ventures like a content agency that would license images and photo shoots to magazines. And, that was all going very well. And my husband was working at the time as well. He had his own business. And then he sold that business. And we were at this point in our lives where we sort of had to decide, well, what's next? Is he going to go and look for other work? And at that time, I really I mean, I still do, but I remember thinking like, I love what I do. And it was doing well. And we made the decision between the two of us that he was going to be the one more with the children in terms of doing school drop off and pick up and those kind of things. And I was going to be the sole income earner. Now, this was, gosh, I'm trying to think of how many, I'm so bad at remembering dates, but it was before I was pregnant with my youngest son, who was 8. So it was probably about 6 or 7 years ago now that this happened. And when that happened, when I made that decision that, okay, I'm going to be the one that's bringing in the money, I'm going to be the one who's paying the mortgage, I'm going to be the one who is paying for, the cars and the fuel and, all the expenses, the groceries, all of those things, I had to start treating my business seriously. And I loved what I did. But there's a difference between loving what you do and being good at what you do and actually making money from it, like making good money from it. Money so that you can either support your family, that you can retire your husband, that you can actually start to, have that creative freedom to work on projects that you really want to work on and be able to cherry pick those things. So I've learned so many things on my own journey. And, I've really learned how to value my worth in terms of what I charge and value my time. I've learned how to create boundaries and to set up my systems in business, because I started out just doing everything myself. And as my business has grown, so has my team. And so I've got a combination of some who are based in Byron Bay and help with my business Imprint House. And then I've got a bunch of people who work remotely. And when you have a team that works remotely, there's a lot of benefits to that, but you have to really have your systems dialed in. So that has been a huge focus on the past couple of years. And so, like I said, I had to go pro. So these are the 7 steps that I did and I now teach to help people go pro with their business. So step 1 is that you need to clarify your vision. You can't expect to reach your goals if you don't know what they are. It is amazing how so many business owners aren't really clear on what their actual goals are. It's always being reactive, like, oh yeah, I got this client and I'm doing work for them, and okay, I gave them this proposal, and I'm working on this project, and okay, I'm getting this money coming in, but to not actually know, like, how much money do I need this business to be making so that I can actually cover my expenses? How much money do I need this business to be making so that I can not just be covering my expenses, but actually valuing my time? And so it's so important that we are really clear on what numbers we need to be doing, but also what we want this business to look like. Because it can also be really easy to just, focus on the numbers and not look at the other aspects of the business, not look at, how are we spending our time in relation to the business? Are we up all hours? Are we working in the night? Are we working on weekends and our business is taking over our life? So, clarifying your vision, there are 2 kind of important parts of that. There is one, to be really clear on your numbers, and then also to be clear on what you want this business to look like for you. So it's amazing how many people don't have this foundational piece in place. I mean, I was just speaking to an interior designer who's also got a shop yesterday, and this was within Designer Grow, and she was telling me that, up until watching one of the trainings within the program, that even though they had been in business for about the past 8 years, so similar period of time to me that they had never really set themselves an annual revenue goal. And it's so important to really know, like, what numbers are we striving for? And so that's what I really want to encourage you to do, is to set yourself an annual revenue goal and then work back from that and know what your monthly revenue goal and what actions are you going to focus on each month to reach that goal. So step 2 is to identify who you serve. Not who you sell to, but who you serve. When we switch from thinking about selling to people to serving people, it's just such a different mindset. So it's really important to know and understand who you want to help to make sure you've got a business that is going to meet a market need. So this is a big trap for so many people. And this is something that I really have to coach people through, which is there is a difference between having a business where you've got a product or service that is nice to have versus having a product or service that is need to have. Now, need is very subjective. Need can be a huge desire where you've created a huge desire for your product or service. Or it can be, obviously, you're addressing a true pain or challenge that somebody is facing. When you are pivoting your business in this way and positioning it in this way, then you can then really start to attract people into your world. And you can also start to really charge for what you do, because people, it's not just like, oh, that's nice, and when people just say, I just want to, be an interior designer. Well, that's wonderful. But people have got to know and understand what value that you're creating with. So some questions to ask yourself in relation to who this person is that you're helping, that either has a huge desire or is in huge pain, is to know, what are they currently struggling with? Really understand, what does their life look like now and what are they struggling with? And this then helps you with so much of your messaging, whether it's on your website, whether it's on social media, because if you don't know and you can't identify clearly of what specifically they're struggling with, it's really hard for you to resonate with them. You just become part of the noise. Whereas when you can articulate these things clearly, then they start to become attracted to you. You also need to think about and know, what solutions have they tried already to solve their problem? Let's take the example of decluttering. If you are a home organizer, for example, and if you are trying to help people, like, have they done KonMari? Have they done Marie Kondo and her courses or read her books? Like, what have they tried already? And maybe it didn't work. Maybe they did it and it kind of worked for a minute, but then it didn't really work long term. So then why didn't it work? The more that we can understand what they've tried themselves and hasn't worked, then the better we are in terms of how we position ourselves. And then also a really great question to ask yourself are, what are some of the biggest pain points that they've experienced in relation to the industry that you're in? So if it's the interiors industry, what are some of the pain points? Have they had really bad experiences with builders? And so maybe there's a way that you can bridge the gap there. Or is there something else? Or they've bought things previously because they've kind of been talked into it and they didn't actually really like it, or whatever it is. What are some of the pain points that they've experienced in relation to the industry? So step 3 is to develop your unique value proposition. It's important to know that this is a quote from Seth Godin. He says, people do not buy goods and services. They buy relations, stories, and magic. So I want you to think about, why should somebody buy from you? It's so easy to put ourselves on the other side and thinking, I can help them and I can do all these amazing things. And I know SketchUp and I know, how to create a mood board. And I've got all these lists of like places I can source and, all of these things. And so you're really focused on you and what you can do. But think about them. Why should they buy from you? Why should they engage you or engage your services? And what can you offer that no one else can? This is a great way to really get into knowing what makes you unique. And when you can really know and understand what you can offer that no one else can, this starts to really put you in a position of power. And really know and understand who else is in your market and what are you going to do differently. So a great exercise is to do a competitor analysis and see how you can do something differently through your own unique experience and your own unique point of view. Step 4, it's really important to build a strong brand identity. A brand is more than a logo or the fonts that you use. They are just a small part of the many ingredients that come together to form a brand identity. A good way to think about brand is, what would someone say about you or your services or your products if you weren't in the room? If someone was talking to a friend about what you do, what would they say? And what do you want them to say? And that is a really helpful way to think about your brand, and then infuse those elements in the different ways that you communicate and you show up. So if you want people to, if you want high paying clients, and this is a trap I see people fall into all the time. If you want high paying clients, you want that sort of people who are not going to be questioning every single little thing or sort of knocking you back on your selections. If you want those clients who have got the money, then you need to position yourself as appealing to them. And so what does that look like? You need to be sharing high quality imagery. You need to be showcasing professional imagery. You need to be showcasing beautifully styled and composed and thoughtfully curated images. You need to have an Instagram feed that looks like a beautiful mood board. You need to have a website that is that high level experience. You need to have all of these touch points that are really professional. And yet so often I hear people complaining about, I want the high paying clients, but how are you showing up? Are you showing up at that same level? Because we get what we put out there. And if you are not putting out there what you want to receive, you won't get it. So you can't expect, somebody who's got lots of money to pay you for their services, if your Instagram feed looks like a bit of a dog's breakfast, or, there's just like all these random posts, or, the fonts aren't elegant or sophisticated, or, simple things like that. It's amazing how many people's Instagram, I do reviews and I look at them and I'm trying to help them and I look at them and then the fonts, and it's like, and I say this to them, it's like, if you want to have those higher level clients, you've got to look at what you're presenting to the world. So really think about, what's your brand's personality? What's the experience that somebody is going to have of your brand? And a kind of fun little question to ask yourself as well is, if it was a holiday destination, what would it be? And infuse it with those elements. The personality of the way that you come across and the way you communicate. Infuse that through everything, through your messaging, to your website, to your social feed. Step 5, generate lead flow. This is huge. Your business thrives or struggles to survive depending on the amount of quality leads you can fill into your pipeline or funnel. So if you're thinking, what is a funnel? We're not just talking about the kitchen funnel that you might have in your cupboard or your drawers in the kitchen. It is a journey that you take your ideal customer on. So at the top of a funnel, if you can picture a funnel, it's wider at the top and it's narrower at the bottom. So not everyone, and again, I think this is a huge misconception. People think, I'm posting on social media, why aren't I getting clients? Well, because that's the top of your funnel. That is like the broadest part of your funnel. And so what happens is that of those people who connect and engage with you on social media, some people will take that next step with you. And then some of those will take another step with you. And eventually they will get to the bottom of the funnel where they will become your customer. You cannot expect every single person that is following you on social media who's going to become a client. But the more people that you get engaging with you, the more clients you will get. So it's really important to think about, what journey am I going to take them on? And what steps am I going to consider and get them to take that next step? What things can I encourage them to do to take that next step with me? So some simple ways are, you can have a discovery call, you can have some kind of lead magnet that you have. So really thinking about, how can I get them to go on this journey with me? You really want to get them on your email list as well. Get them off Instagram and onto your email list. So thinking about, how are you going to get to know them? So there's the sort of like, know, and trust factor. So know is like, how will they discover you? Like, how will they connect with you? And trust, how can you generate trust? The answer is consistency. And this is why it's so important to show up consistently on social media, because this is a way that you can create trust. If you're all over the place on social media in terms of when you show up, what the quality of your work is and what the quality of what you share on social media is, if you're inconsistent, how can you expect somebody to see, if you would be somebody who's trustworthy, that you can show up consistently? So it's a really simple, easy indicator of that. Step 6 is to establish a selling system. So obviously, making money is a critical part of running your business. And even if you are making money, you don't just want to be scraping through. So, the question really is, how will you make money? How will you make money consistently? And so what you need to do is you need to find out the thing that sells the thing. So the first thing is a sales vehicle. What is your sales vehicle or your sales system that is going to sell your second thing, which is your product or service? So is it to book a call with you? Is it to download a free guide and then you take them on a journey, you nurture them via email? What is it for you? And what can you learn from your potential customers from this information? Always be looking at the data. Look at what they're saying. Look at where their struggles are. Look at where they're getting stuck. Look at their objections. Always look at the data. Use data to drive decisions, not drama. And step 7 is to create systems that scale. So streamline your business to run more efficiently and effectively and make you more money. So here are some ideas for you. How can you sell something new to your existing customers? You've already warmed them up. You've already created that trust. You've already created an experience. They already like what you do. So how can you sell something new to your existing customers? Also, how can you automate some processes in your business to free up your time to get more clients so that you can work on your business, not in your business? So when you can create automations and systems and processes that can free up your time, this means that you can really focus on that part of your business that is going to generate the money. You can do more sales and marketing. You can do more sales calls. You've got more capacity. So, that's one idea. And another idea is, how can you know and understand your numbers better so you can focus on the money generating activities? Now, I hope that you have found this really helpful. I hope that it's giving you a really clear guide on the steps that you need to go through. As I said, you can go and grab that workbook. The link is in the show notes. And I am curious, at the end of last year, I ran a starter course, a starter program, which became my group coaching program, Design and Grow. Now it lives in there, but we've got so much more content, and that's just a small part. Like, that's the sort of initial stepping stone for so many people. And I know so many of you have been asking me about that program. So I am thinking of running it again in June. So I want to hear from you. So if you would like me to run that starter program again, then please send me a DM at Natalie Walton on Instagram, and I would love to hear from you. All right, let's just quickly run through these 7 points again. So let me go from the top. Step 1 is, I'm just finding it. Here we go. Oh my gosh. Step 1, clarify your vision. So you can't expect to reach your goals if you don't know what they are. Step 2, identify who you serve and make sure that that person that you're serving is really motivated to take action, that it's not just a nice to have for them, that it's something that they really want. Step 3 is to develop your unique value proposition. Remember that you really need to get a clear understanding of, why should somebody buy from you over somebody else? Why should somebody engage your services over somebody else? Step 4 is to build a strong brand identity. Remember that your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. What do potential clients or customers say about you to their friends or past clients? Step 5 is to generate lead flow. So you need to have a process, you need to have a system where you are getting people into your world and you're moving them through and along a journey to become your customer. Step 6 is to establish a selling system. So you really need to have some kind of selling system or vehicle that is going to sell your product or service. And step 7 is to create systems at that scale so that you can run your business more efficiently and effectively. I hope that you have found this episode really valuable. It's episode 186. So if you've got something interesting or out of it, then please, I would love to hear from you. Put a note in the comments section. Let me know what you found valuable about this episode. And I look forward to connecting again with you same time next week. All of the links and info for this episode are at nataliewalton.com/podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so that you can get a direct download of the latest episode. And I really appreciate when you take a minute to rate and review, as well as share the love with someone you know who might benefit from this episode, or on social media. If you'd like to access a range of free resources, come visit my website, nataliewalton.com. Thank you to Jaeger Media for producing this podcast. And I would also like to acknowledge the people of the Bundjalung Nation where it was recorded, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. I look forward to connecting again soon. I'm Natalie Walton, and you've been listening to Imprint.